Prepare snow tomatoes for winter without boiling jars or baking. These tomatoes can be stored all year round without a fridge and look like festive snow globes. Place washed tomatoes in large jars gently to avoid bruising. Fill the jars with lukewarm boiled water, ensuring the water covers all the tomatoes. Cover and let them sit for 20 minutes. Peel a head of garlic and blend a handful of cloves into small pieces. Don't grind them too finely. Pour the water from the jars into a pot. Don't discard it as you'll need it. Add 100 milliliters of spirit vinegar, 100 grams of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of salt to the pot. Mix well and bring to a boil. Add 2 tablespoons of garlic to each jar of tomatoes. Then pour the boiling mixture from the pot into the jars, filling them to the top to cover the tomatoes. Seal the jars tightly and shake them to distribute the garlic evenly. The effect is mesmerizing, like a snow globe, which is why my family calls them snow tomatoes. As the jars cool, they will self-preserve and can be stored for 12 months without refrigeration. I use these tomatoes for soups and sauces. They're a healthy alternative to canned tomatoes. Do you make tomato preserves for winter? What do you think of this recipe?
I store fresh tomatoes for 2 years without adding salt and vinegar. I no longer buy tomatoes in winter. This method allows me to store tomatoes without a refrigerator. Summer tomatoes are much tastier. Instead of buying winter greenhouse tomatoes, I prepare stocks from summer specimens. To prepare them, I need about 3 kilograms of fresh tomatoes. I wash them thoroughly under running water. Then I remove the green stems from each tomato. I arrange them on a baking sheet. Tomatoes should not touch each other. We place them side by side. Then we put them in an oven preheated to 200 degrees Celsius. We bake them for 15 minutes. After that time, I take the baking sheet out of the oven and leave it to cool for a few minutes. I prepare large jars. Mine have a capacity of over 1.5 liters. Using a spoon, I place the tomatoes in the jar. I do this gently so as not to tear the skin. I fill the jar with them. Always before I close the jar, I do one thing. My grandmother taught it to me. Thanks to her, preserves don't spoil. I pour a little alcohol onto a paper towel. Then I wipe the lid and the jar's opening with it. Alcohol kills the bacteria on it. A disinfected jar gives me the assurance that the preserve will not spoil. Then I pour water into a large pot. I place kitchen towels on the bottom. They are essential for canning jars. When the water starts to boil, I put the jars with tomatoes in it. It's important for them to stand on the towel. The water level should reach about 1/3 of the height of the jars. I bring the water to a boil and cook for about 15 minutes. After this time, I take out the jars, and they are ready. You can store tomatoes like these for up to 2 years. They have no added salt or vinegar, so their taste is not altered. I use them for soups, salads, and dishes. They taste much better than winter supermarket tomatoes. I store the jars in a dark and cool cellar. I have fresh tomatoes all year round.
Put the cocktail glass on the tomato slices. This is how you will prepare something very special. You've never tasted a tomato recipe like this before. They are perfect for breakfast or a snack. Preparing them is really easy, and they taste delicious. At the very beginning, choose vine-ripened tomatoes and cut them into slices. Arrange them on a kitchen board. Get a glass. Cut the center out of the tomato slices. Do the same with each subsequent prepared slice. Set the rings from the tomatoes aside. Chop the cut flesh from the tomatoes into small pieces. Transfer the pieces to a bowl. Then cut the chives with scissors. Add a cup of whole wheat flour to the mixture. Then whisk in 2 eggs. Season with a pinch of salt, pepper, garlic, or other favorite spices to your taste. Mix everything thoroughly. Heat a frying pan over medium heat and add some olive oil. Arrange the rings of tomatoes on the pan. Fill them with the prepared mixture. About 1 tablespoon of the chopped tomato mixture is enough for each disc. Cover the pan with a lid and fry for a few minutes over a fairly low heat. When the bottom of the tomato pancakes turns golden, flip them over to the other side. After frying, decorate the pancakes with parsley or chives. And there you have it. Delicious tomato pancakes are now ready to serve. Delicious cherry pickled tomatoes. Be sure to try this super simple recipe. Cherry tomatoes will perform best, although other varieties can also be used. However, I do not recommend large tomatoes for this recipe. Wash and dry the tomatoes. Their quantity depends on how many you intend to make. In my case, it is a kilo. Take a toothpick and carefully prick each tomato a couple of times. Then prepare the garlic. Peel about 5 cloves and crush them with your hand to extract more juice. Transfer them to another board. Prepare the horseradish root. Peel it and cut it into smaller pieces. To make the tomatoes, you need dill. Use only dill flowers as they give the perfect flavor to the tomatoes. Prepare a large jar, washed and dried beforehand. Put horseradish in the bottom of the jar, then garlic and some of the dill. Then put the tomatoes in the jar, arranging them in layers, alternating with the dill. Once you've filled the entire jar, it's time to prepare the marinade. Use 1 tablespoon of salt per liter of water. Pour the salt into a jug, then pour in 1 liter of water. Preferably, it should be sparkling water. Stir it properly so that the salt dissolves. Pour the resulting marinade over the tomatoes in the jar. If the brine is not enough, you can quickly and easily make it up. Cover such a jar with tomatoes and set it aside for 24 hours. After this time, the tomatoes are ready to eat. They will work perfectly as a snack for many dishes. Their taste is distinctive, but very tasty. The preparation takes a very short time. Your tomato paste will never go moldy again. Tomato paste is a versatile addition to many dishes, but unfortunately, it only lasts a few days in the fridge after opening before it starts to mold. I'll show you the best way to store it. Take some baking paper and cut it into equal pieces, preferably squares. Lay 1 piece flat, then spread 1 tablespoon of tomato paste on it. Place another square of paper on top and press down gently with a glass. Repeat until you've used the whole jar. You don't have to worry about wasting food. This method is quick and easy. Then, place all the paper pieces with the paste into a Ziploc bag and freeze them. Once frozen, the paste can stay fresh for a month or even longer. Just grab a slice from the freezer whenever you need tomato paste. It's the best way to keep it fresh, and you'll never have to throw it away again. Fantastic recipe for dry brined pickles. Make them today, enjoy them tomorrow. No need for jars. Pickles without brine? Yes, it's possible. Dry brined pickles are ready in just a day, tasting just as good as those prepared with brine. They're crispier and retain their vibrant green color. Start with a kilogram of cucumbers, wash them, and soak them in cold water for at least an hour. Trim the ends to speed up the pickling process and remove any potential bitterness. Crush a few peppercorns in a grinder. Peel and chop 2 cloves of garlic into smaller pieces. Carefully peel and slice horseradish roots. Wash and chop 2 sprigs of dill. Place the cucumbers in a plastic bag and add all the prepared ingredients one by one: garlic, horseradish, and dill. Sprinkle with salt and pepper. Gently mix everything together. It's important to seal the cucumbers tightly with as little air as possible and ensure the ingredients are well mixed. Place the prepared cucumbers in the fridge. After 24 hours, you can enjoy the delicious flavor of these lightly salted pickles. They're delicious and require minimal effort.